What kind of business will bet on that future?
AI wars do seem to be heating back up.
It used to be about intelligence. It's flipping on itself. Down market organizations will have to hire.
I don't know if they're really that much better. We're talking about getting a human in there to really understand what's going on so that we can tell the AI what to do.
What does the future of AI look like in 5 years?
I don't think anybody understands how data centers work. This stuff breaks. If it's in space, it is too far away to touch. Same thing with the ocean.
Can you imagine if one day we just turned off our cursor account?
We would not be very productive then.
No. Right, exactly.
Yes.
Welcome to AI Unplugged, episode 16. I'm Travis Rail, and I'm here with Jeff Valentine.
Hey.
Andrew Sinclair.
Hey, Trav.
And our newcomer, John Bidwell.
Howdy.
And today we're going to be talking about AI in space.
AI in space.
Try to do a Space Ghost thing. That did not work.
Or
I-
underwater.
Or underwater.
It's like the big debate of all the unexplored spaces.
And now the war is heating up. Not
Which
in
war?
Iran, but in AI. Andrew, take us away.
Well, you're right. AI wars do seem to be heating back up after what seemed like a lull, where new models are coming out that are bigger and better than before and really impressing people. So obviously with Anthropic, they have Fable, ChatGPT has 5.6, Sol, Terra, Luna, whatever you want to call it. And Grok is entering the fray. But also I hear things from Meta. Is Meta back in the game with Muse Spark? All these big announcements, they seem to come at the same time. I don't know whether that's planned or coincidental or just the nature of competitiveness. But yeah, what do you think about this AI arms race being back?
I am happy that's happening right now. And for one reason in particular is that it's flipping on itself. It used to be about intelligence.
Yeah.
And now everybody's saying, oh, we all do the same as Fable, but we're half the cost.
Oh, it's price.
Yeah, GPT Sol 5.6 is half the, I don't think it's half the price, but it's much cheaper than Fable. And they say, hey, we're better than Fable in some cases. You're seeing Grok 4.5 on Cursor. That's where they released it.
Yep.
That is equivalent to Opus 4.8, but at half the cost, right? And so they're coming after even like open source models that are more cheaper. So you're really seeing a price sort of pressure that's occurring in the market, which I quite enjoy because it's been getting so expensive, quite
Right.
frankly.
I feel like last time we talked about how new models were coming out, like Fable, that were impressive, but that the older models weren't getting any cheaper. Do you think with this price competitiveness with new models, finally we'll start to see some of the older models move down in price and get more competitive?
Before you answer,
Yes.
we'll pull up the clip at some point of you saying what you thought just a few episodes ago.
Which is
Do you remember what you said?
No, I don't remember at all.
You said it was never going to go down in price. It was only going to go up.
I still think it's going to go up.
Okay.
But it's going to be less up. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Right?
So
Like-
even Sonnet's going to get more expensive.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it is. So like the models, Sonnet's such a great example of this. The pricing of Sonnet has been pretty consistent for the last year, but it generates more tokens of every new release, which results in more spend. I think what you're also seeing now is some companies seeing that as a competitive differentiator, and they're saying, hey, we can give you similar price for performance, but now cheaper, but they're still going up. Like it's not like it used to be 3 years ago where it was like $1, right, for something.
So there's no Moore's law in AI right now. We're not seeing doubling of capacity and a halving of the price as a result.
I think we're seeing customers really care about like speed and
Speed, yeah,
cost, right?
and they're also starting to look at when you see those new models like Fable and things like that, where okay, it does a really, really good job, but it's spitting out an awful lot of tokens to do that really, really good job. So you're kind of figuring out if it's worth all that extra cost to have that extra sparks, or kind of do almost the same thing for maybe even a little bit less cost. Maybe it takes a little bit longer, but I can get a very similar result. So for me, anyways, I find a lot of like the newer models, yeah, they're really good, but I don't know if they're really that much better enough for me to pay that much more for it, you know?
I've heard somebody, another business owner say 95% is good enough. Like they don't need to spend double to get to 99%.
Right.
Like even that's a little better. Is it really that much more worth it? People are not saying that it's worth it.
So we just did evals on Darcy, our product, where we took a model, we went from the highest reasoning tier to the mid-tier reasoning, and we saw a drop in performance of 1 to 2% but a cost reduction of 40%.
Right.
Now, I had the same
Yeah.
thought. I'm like, I don't care. Like, that's
Yeah.
good enough, right? I'll
Right.
take a 40% cost reduction.
Yep. It's like high-end audio equipment. You're going to get to that point where you're going to pay a lot of money for just a little bit better sound.
Yeah.
Well, I think Anthropic is aware of this, right? Because Fable obviously made a huge splash when it came out, people talking about how great it was, what a leap forward. But now that competitors are catching up with near equivalent or maybe even better, depending on their benchmark models, Anthropic came back and said, okay, well, yes, it's expensive, but there are cheaper models that can do the building, whereas Fable can do the planning. And it's a new way forward, I think, in terms of what I've heard from them, that's very similar to maybe how a senior architect will do like the master planning, but then you direct it to a team of skilled builders to actually go and build it for you. So they are encouraging this mix of models
Yes.
that, I don't know, is that a best practice we've been using, or you think others will use it?
I think we use it pretty often.
Well, not just that. What about in our own products? We specifically front end lots of different models, and based on the type of work being done, we'll choose the right model for the user without the user asking. So, not some people might think that's cost optimization. Honestly, I think it's sometimes it's performance, sometimes it's the ability to go choose the right tool for the right thing. If you're writing Python code, I'm not sure you should be using Fable. If you're reviewing a legal contract, maybe you should.
Is it the same model in the same project, or is it multi-models in one activity? Because I think that's what they were saying, is that
multi in one activity. So in other words, very much like how you said, I may use a very expensive model to do the planning, but I might have that model, and frankly, I may not even have to do that. The model itself may choose to spin up sub-agents that are using much less cost models. So, sometimes it's not even me choosing it. It's the agent itself knowing, you know what, I don't really need to use a really super expensive model for that. I can do the same thing with something cheap.
Which means that tokens become less important. It means that if we're not telling our users which model we're using, and we happen to be choosing a really expensive model on our side because it might be the right choice, and we're using a lot of tokens, it doesn't affect our user. They didn't get a choice. They're just getting the right business result. And I feel like when we make that choice for them, tokens and counts of tokens, which they never understood to begin with, become irrelevant.
So I'm going to do something that's probably bad. But our pricing model for Darcy is the antithesis of what people say we should be doing. So we price per user, and it's unlimited AI usage. And people today are like, oh my God, why would you do that? You blow up your own costs and blah, blah. We've had a really interesting side effect for us. In this world of sort of multi-model usage, it actually forces us at Innovative to be really cognizant as to how we introduce customers to different models, what models support different use cases, how we invoke models, when we should invoke models, so that we can best cost optimize our system without degrading the performance of the customer. If you're Anthropic or OpenAI or somebody who has your own proprietary model, you care a little bit less about that. If you price per token, you care a little bit less about that because you don't care if there's a failure. You're going to get paid regardless. In the world of multi-model, we're seeing it all the time, like during the activity, swapping it in and out. And I think we're seeing some real interesting use cases evolve as a result of that.
Travis, do you think that because, we're seeing some constraints, as everybody probably is, with GPU availability, when one particular model or one particular hosting provider has GPU limits, the fact that we can switch to another model another, we're sort of building in some resiliency into the platform as well.
Yeah, we deploy across 3 different model companies, model hosting providers.
Yeah.
For that use case alone.
Right.
Yeah.
It kind of almost forces you to pay attention more to the quality and the token count, right?
Correct.
Across the board.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's looking for optimization and costs. And I like that, this is a competitive market that's going to drive not only technological advancements, but also efficiencies that will make things less costly for consumers and businesses like us. And it's not just on the software side, it is also in the infrastructure. And I know the latest thing with all these IPO announcements is, hey, we're going to put data centers in space because the energy costs are really one of the big limiting things. So, you've got this, Musk, who's obviously trying to do it. Sam Altman, I think, was throwing water on the whole idea of it. But then, Satya comes in from Microsoft and they're like, well, we're going to go in the other area of the unexplored universe, which is in the ocean. So
Look, Jeff's a big investor
Ah,
in data centers and
not
space,
even close.
Right? What was your thesis?
That it's not going to work, and I don't believe in it. The concept of putting a data center in space has some really interesting dynamics. Everybody thinks you've got great cooling, right? So it must be a lot cheaper to go run a data center in space. The problem is I don't think anybody understands how data centers work.
You can't radiate in a vacuum.
No, not even. The worst part about it is this stuff breaks. And in a real data center, you have to go in there and swap it out. They burn out, literally transistors die. Things happen every day in at scale data centers. And if it's in space, it is too far away to touch. Same thing with the ocean. So what are you going to do? Overinvest in technology or leave it there for 10 years when it's irrelevant? What kind of business will bet on that future? I can't imagine doing
It's almost like the cost of paying for a rocket to go up there to swap out a GPU is more cost effective than having a human do it here on Earth.
It can't be the case.
Right? That is the.
And how about this? How do you handle the changing power requirements of the data center itself? You know, when they start running a model training session, it uses more power instantly from the grid. It's an instant on pulling from a grid, which means when you try to do things like nuclear, the base level power need of that data center is actually you can't predict the base anymore. It's not 95% and it varies 5%. It's like 40% and it varies a lot. It might double in a second. So how do you do that in space when there's nothing else to sink the power to? How do you run a nuclear reactor?
Sounds like a great problem to solve.
I can't even imagine doing that. That's my point. I think it's a really interesting talking point. I can't imagine at-scale data centers in space at this point.
What about underwater?
How easy is it to get underwater?
Yeah, get a submarine. It's on a submarine.
And what if we heat up the ocean as a result?
We're doing it anyway. You may as well.
That's all I have to say.
Well, don't you think they'd build in part redundancy and make these things, built with obsolescence where things can fail and they'll just move on to the next one? Like I think of a lot of these electric cars are combinations of very small batteries that are glued together.
Right.
And if one in the middle fails, that's okay. You still have others that can share the load, and they plan for that eventuality.
We already have memory storage limitation, and we have a shortage on GPUs. So you want to put in double or triple the amount you might need because something might break. You can do that. Absolutely. It will still be obsolete in the time frame of a satellite's lifetime. It's not going to be relevant 10 years from now. So why invest in it?
This is interesting. Time will tell. We'll see. There's a great account that I follow which talks about all the prognostications that people make about the future and how they are just hilariously categorically wrong. So you may be featured one day.
I might be the wrong one.
Hopefully not.
We'll see.
But there certainly is, a lot of debate on, what the future will look like. There was the CEO of Perplexity that was on a different podcast lately, and someone was asking him, well, what does the future of AI look like in 5 years or 100 years? And he said, I don't even know what it will look like in 5 because things change so fast. And, if you were to look back 5 years and say, what would AI look like? I don't think any of us would have said what it is now. Otherwise, we would have been loading up on memory and just building capacity ahead of time that now we can sell at huge profit margins.
Just the way that we're working now is different than 6 months ago. The way that we're operating, the way that we're doing coding, it's different. It's not anywhere near to.
Can you imagine if one day we just turned off our Cursor account?
It's like turning
Didn't
off
that
email.
happen like
Right?
a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, like what would happen to the company? Like it would be
We would not be very productive then.
No.
right, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the fun things that came across last week was a font that someone had created where only humans can read it. And it's basically like a magic eye where there's a lot of little dots moving in the background and the human eye picks up on it immediately. Anyone can just look at it and see what the text says. But all the models, even like Fable, can't see what it says. It's totally baffled.
Interesting.
And I'm wondering if we've talked before about AI replacing jobs of humans and obviously the security concerns that these large models will have, especially with quantum computing coming. Are humans going to be inventive enough to stay ahead of things, to make things that protect us in this world order?
This reminds me of CAPTCHA. Remember
Yes.
when the very first CAPTCHAs came out and there's no computer that could tell you exactly what it was saying in a picture. So they would just have a human type it. It was a verification of a human being behind the web page. And today they're all hackable, right? So at some point, I imagine this unhackable font, this unreadable font will be read by a computer. You just build a model for
But is that what are you saying the difficult or the change in technology how do we stay ahead of it so that humans are relevant in that change? Or like, I ask because there's a lot of conversation right now in the market around the first 2 years. I guess 2 years ago, everybody was talking about, okay, the cost value of swapping out a person for an agent or an AI or whatever, right? And in the last like 3 months, it's turned into, well, it costs the same in some cases, depending on your model and your throughput and all the things you want to do. So why would I bother? And so like there's like this tipping of the scales around the cost of human labor
Right.
compared to compute effectively, right? That I find quite interesting, simply because what happens in the future when models become so effective they can one-shot a problem over and over and over again? They maybe cost more upfront for that one time, but a human may fail 3 times because they have to go find information, do certain things, right? So I don't know if we're tracking the right economics effectively for how much these things cost and how effective a human can be as a result of that.
Maybe the trade-off isn't the human versus machine economics. Maybe, let me give you an example. Maybe it's speed to market. Back in .com days, I remember it took, I think it was Fleet Bank at the time when they came out with one of their first mobile banking applications, and it was months before a release could go out because there's a whole team obviously writing something very complicated using, I'm thinking J2E in the back end and doing very hard coding. And today, I think we can probably do that in an hour or two. You know,
Right.
pretty much like it's irrelevant. Now, if Bank of America, now the owner of Fleet, decided to go spend 3 months doing it, quote unquote, the old way without AI, I don't think they'd be relevant in the market anymore. I think they expect the velocity of AI helpers inside of their business, whether or not there's humans involved. So maybe the end result is you keep the humans, you add AI, you do everything faster.
Look, can we pivot for a second?
Yeah.
If things go so fast, I believe enterprises are going to struggle immensely in this world where people are going to expect software releases so quickly and these large gargantuan systems with tons of failure points. And now the enterprise has the 4 teams of people who have to approve something, right? Like, those two things are,
Incompatible.
oh my God.
Yes. They don't know how to do that. They don't know how to move that fast.
Which
Right.
means smaller businesses might have an advantage,
Exactly.
But small businesses become large businesses in that scenario, right?
but
So
there's
like,
always new small ones.
I just wonder if like the average enterprise is going down market, like the definition of enterprise becomes smaller as a result of that.
Right. Or they all act smaller because they have to survive,
Yeah.
to maintain the margin.
Right. I got off track. So
No, I
just triggered
think
that.
that's exactly the truth. I believe.
No, I think, organizations all are deciding how they respond to it. One of the latest things we've done, like a lot of other organizations, is pivot more towards the forward deployed engineered model.
Yeah.
I know, Travis, that was a big part of what you were working on, a big release for Innovative. What led us to that, and why do you think that's where the market's going?
So the name of the game is enablement. How do you enable somebody to be effective at their job or use a technology or whatever, right? I can hand you a tool, but if you don't use the tool right, then the tool's irrelevant. So what a lot of companies are realizing is they have more complex tools or new technologies like AI are coming out, and the general workforce is not trained on how to use these things effectively. What that results in companies saying, I'm not getting a great ROI for this rollout or this software, cancel it. Or they have doubts in it or otherwise. So a forward deployed engineer's job is to go sit in-house with the customer, learn about their business problems, almost like a consultant, but also be able to be technically adept to go implement those solutions and then train their teams, their customers' teams, on how to complete the work.
Doesn't it sound like the new version of management consulting?
Yeah. But a bit more hands-on,
A bit more hands-on.
right? Like
And this is the model that Palantir's made
yeah.
possible.
Yep.
You know what the interesting thing about that is that we're talking about all this technology and all the AI things that we can do, but in order to make it work, we're talking about getting a human in there to really understand what's going on so that we can tell the AI what to do.
Right.
You know?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and we rolled out our forward deployed services last week, give or take. We've actually seen a ton of traction of just like general interest from the media, for customers, and more, way more than we ever expected. And I think it comes down to is there's a lot of SIs like Innovative who are building solutions and then walking away from it, or building net new products for companies and then hoping they can sell it in market. And the missing piece continues to be enablement. Right, so we will embed our architecture team our FDEs with their staff. That's it in a nutshell.
Well, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Getting closer to the customer, I think, is always good. And
They appreciate it more, by the way. Like, they like the fact that someone's sitting with. If John's with them, like, they love it when you learn about their weird thing. Right?
Yeah, you dig deep into what it is that they're doing. You find out, we're using AI for all this stuff, but I make these widgets over here. Wait a second, I can, put all this stuff together, and it makes a big difference when I'm really spending a lot of time understanding exactly what it is that they do.
I think the biggest problem with for-deploy engineers, it is not a down market problem. Small businesses, they don't have the capital, quite frankly, to pay for a consulting company or SI to come in and give them staff to help them enable them on a particular technology. Now, mid-market and enterprise, they do. I think what's happening is down-market organizations will have to hire into someone who's a champion into that tech stack, and then mid-market and up can use the FTE model.
interesting.
It's also interesting that FTE it has a wide range of skills. Those skills are, the consulting part where you're understanding what's going on with the business, but then it's also the technical part to really be able to implement all of those things. And like what you were saying is tying it all together with the enablement to actually go and do the things. You know? So it's not just, I'm not just talking about it. I'm not just doing it. I'm doing the whole package.
The whole thing.
Well, it'll be exciting to see where we go. I love the bold projections and predictions, and I can't wait to see what comes true.
Data centers are totally going to space.
We'll see.
100%.
I'm voting underwater.
It's only a
Thanks,
question of
guys.
when.
Thanks for joining, JB.
Thank
Good to have
you. That was quite enjoyable.
Thanks all. Have a nice day.
See you.